Om Sadashiva Shankara Satchidananda Vigraham. What is the purpose or result of studying Vedanta? So the purpose of studying Vedanta is to gain Niratishaya Sukham. That is what is said here. And all the anartha also has to go away, all the dukkha. So Sukha Prapti means what? Not like normal Sukha which we are used to in the Vyavahara, but Niratishayam. Niratishayam means that which cannot be bettered. Okay, so that is the Sukha we are talking about, or Ananda. That is the Brahmananda. By knowing Brahman, one is Brahman actually. And that Brahman is the one which is the source of all happiness. And so it is Ananda Swarupa. That Brahmananda is not separate from ourselves. That is what we have to understand. And this Jnanam is a direct knowledge, correct? Because it is about yourself. Nobody can say that I don't experience myself. That is absurd, correct? I am the one who is experiencing myself, which is the most intimately I am experiencing, correct? Everything else is an object of my consciousness. But I am that consciousness itself. That is not separate from Brahman. So this direct knowledge or direct experience of oneself is called aparoksha. Paroksha means indirectly knowing something, like doing a anumana, doing an inference and knowing something. But that which you are directly knowing by experiencing it through your senses or directly cognizing something which is happening in your mind. See, emotions and thoughts, these are all happening in your mind. No sense organs are involved, but still they are revealed to you, correct? Directly they are known to you. But all these things are also actually not you. Whatever you know is not you, in fact. So you are that consciousness which is always the knower. And that is the understanding one has to gain. And that consciousness is the one which is the basis for this entire creation. The entire space-time is in you. That consciousness is you. You are not somebody small in the creation. The creation is in you, in fact. That is the kind of transformation about yourself which has to be brought about by the study of the Shastra, because Shastra is showing you in a totally different light. The whole purpose of studying Vedanta is not an academic exercise. It is to know oneself properly, correctly, the reality of oneself. The way we have been taking ourselves is wrong, and the entire problems which we face is because of that. All the problems, the samsaritvam, what we say, the life of becoming. Because in one's own judgment, one is a limited being, and based on that only everything else follows that. So one is a wanting person, and as long as one is a wanting person, you can never be totally free, because you have limitations. And that is something you are not able to even accept it instinctively. That is why we are always struggling to become something, so that we can get rid of these limitations from different standpoints. Okay. So this pursuit of knowing oneself through the Vedanta Shastra is something which is very important, and it is not just an academic exercise. It is something which has to transform the way you look at yourself. So that is the main purpose, and the transformation which is brought upon is actually going to give you Niratishayam Sukham. That is what is being talked about here, because if you look at the human pursuit, everybody wants Sukha or happiness. Okay. And that is the main thing which is being sought by everybody, all beings in fact. All other things are only to gain this happiness, you can say. Even dharma, artha, kama are all for this being ananda, to gain ananda, in fact, to be a person who has this happiness. So that is what is being talked about as the prayojanam here. And to gain this prayojanam, you have to have a direct knowledge of yourself, who you are, what is your reality. Now that direct knowledge, how is it produced? That is the question here. Whether it is coming from words of the Shastra, or it is coming because of your mind being mature enough and qualified enough. Okay. You have developed a certain mental faculty, and you have done a lot of sadhana, and you have a mind which is pure, and you have a mind, pure means, what we mean is you are not affected by raga dvesha. Okay, that is called purity of mind. Understand that. So the one who is free from likes and dislikes, or one who is not under the spell of likes and dislikes, has purity of mind. That is one important thing. The other important thing is one-pointedness of mind also. The one who is able to focus on a subject matter without getting disturbed one-pointedly. Now these two are very important things. So the one who has such a mind only can gain this knowledge. So now there are two views are there, but which is the primary thing here? Okay. So the Purva Acharyas are saying Samvid aparoksham na karana vishesha utpatti nibandhanam. So Purva Acharya means here it is starting from Padmapada onwards. Okay. So their opinion is what? Only words of the Shastra reveal who you are. Okay, the direct cause for knowledge is the words of the Shastra which you listen through the Guru. It does not depend on Karana Vishesha. Okay, Karana Vishesha here means the Karanam here is mind, obviously. So mind is only secondary. Of course, a qualified mind is also required, because any knowledge requires the knower to be qualified, even normal knowledge. Then what to talk about self-knowledge. But still, knowledge has to be true to the vastu or the prameya. Okay, whatever you are knowing, the knowledge of that thing has to reflect that thing as it is, correct? So knowledge of anything or any object depends on that object itself, because that knowledge has to be true to that object. Now in your case, knowledge of the self has to be true to who you are, as you are. and who you are is revealed by the Shruti. Okay, so it has to then be as per whatever the Shruti Vakyas are revealing who you are. So that is the view of the Purvacharya. Okay, so now that is what is talked about here. Tatacha Brahmanaha Pramatri Jiva Abhinnataya Tad Gocharam Shabdajanyam Jnanam Api Aparoksham. So you are Brahman in fact already. So Brahman is not separate from the knower, the individual knower. Okay, Pramatri Jiva here means the individual knower. So Brahman and the individual who is the knower are not separate from each other. And that knowledge also is Shabdajanyam. Okay, so that cognition which you gain, that Aham Brahmasmi, okay, is coming from the words of the Shastra. And so that knowledge is from the words only, and it is direct, because yourself and Brahman are both Aparoksha. Because Brahman is revealed as Yes Sakshat Aparokshat Brahma, like that Upanishad says, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. And of course, nobody can say I am indirect, I can know myself indirectly, is very absurd, as I told you. So since the one who is being known is the most intimately known, obviously the knowledge about that subject, about the self, has to be direct. You can't say that words cannot reveal you directly, words can only reveal you indirectly. So for that, one example also is given here. There is a Brahma Sutra. In that there is a Pratardhanadikarana is there. So Pratardhana is a king who goes to Swarga and then offers Indra some help and all that. And Indra is very pleased. Then he says, you can ask me a vara, I'll give you whatever you want. Then Pratardhana says, whatever is the shreyas for beings, okay, whatever is the most good, you can say, okay, for any person, any being, you teach me that. So Indra has to then teach this Moksha Shastra. In that, Indra is saying Pranosmi Prajnatma. So I am this prana, and in this context the word prana means Brahman. Many different words are used for Brahman in the Upanishads. One of the words is prana. So here prana doesn't mean the pancha prana. Okay, it is prana in a different sense. So he says, I am the Prajnatma, means I am Chit Swarupam, and I am this prana. And that tam mam ayuhu amritam upasva. So he says, you worship me, mam, like that. He is using a pronoun. Okay, and this is the Indra Vakya. Okay, iti Indra Vakye prana shabdasya brahma paratve. So prana shabda here actually means Brahman. So Indra is saying, I am Brahman and my Swarupa is pure Chaitanyam, and that you now dwell upon, you meditate upon. Okay, and because of that you will get Ayu, and then finally you will be immortal. Means you know, you also have to know how I have known myself as pure Chaitanyam and Brahman. You also have to know in the similar manner, correct? And once you know that, you are going to have immortality or amritam, he says. Okay. So like this, here the prana shabda is Brahman, and mam upasva he is saying. So the asmat shabda, how can Indra say like you meditate on me? Okay, you do upasana on me. So that is not tenable. Anupapattim ashankya. So in this Pratardhanadikarana, what is discussed is, how can Indra say mam upasva? Is it proper? Is it tenable? Like this, a question is raised in Brahma Sutra. and an answer is given for that. What is the answer? So tad uttaratvena pravritte. So starting to answer that, what is said is Shastra Drishtya tu Upadeshaha Vamadevavat. So this is also another sutra in the same Adhikarana. Shastra Drishtya tu Upadeshaha. So the Upadesha Mam Upasva, their Mam does not mean Mr. Indra. Indra the person or the Jiva. There Indra is looking upon himself from the Shastra Drishti, from the way Shastra is revealing oneself, correct? In the light of the Shastra, Indra is giving this Upadesha, is what is the answer. So it is not, it is tenable, it is proper. So in fact, in Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna sometimes talks as Mr. Krishna, but many times Krishna is talking by considering himself as Ishvara and Brahman. Okay? So those contexts we have to understand correctly. So Mam Upetyatu Punarjanmana Vidyate and all, Krishna says, once you gain me, there is no Punarjanma. So there, what is the meaning of Mam? Okay? He even says that all the beings come from me, they are sustained by me, they go back into me. Yataf pravrittir bhutanam yena sarvam idam tatam swakarmana tamabhyarcha siddhim vindati manavaha and all he says. But there also, he is talking about himself. But all this from the light of Shastra. Similarly, Vamadeva also talks like that. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Vamadeva says, Vamadeva is born, or I think he is in the womb only, he says, Aham Indraha, Aham Suryaha and all that. Okay, Aham Manuhu, correct. He says, I am Manu, I am Surya, like that Vamadeva is saying. So Vamadeva is born as a Jnani. He is one of the examples of Uttama Adhikari. And he is like that. That is also Shastra Drishti. In the light of how Shastra is revealing oneself, that is, he is talking in that manner. So, Ityatra Sutre, Shastriya Drishtihi, Shastra Drishtihi. So, in the Sutra itself, the word Shastra Drishti is used. That means his knowledge is coming from the vision gained from the Shastra. Okay, vision given by the Shastra. And again, Shastra itself, how does it give you this vision? Tattvamasyadi Vakyajanyam. So this vision is born by understanding Vakyas like Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, all these Vakyas. So Aham Brahmasmi iti Jnanam, Shastra Drishti Shabdena Uktam iti. So the Aham Brahmasmi iti Jnanam is coming because of the vision gained from the Shastra. That is shown by the usage of the word Shastra Drishti in the Sutra. So words only give direct knowledge. This is one. Then others, Bhamati Prakriya is there. I told you there are two different opinions are there with Gita itself. Okay, all are Advaitins, but certain explanations what they give are different. So Anyesham tu evam ashayaha. The others, what do they say? Karana Vishesha Nibandhanam eva jnananam pratyakshatvam. So the others say whether knowledge is direct or indirect depends on the instrument only. Okay, and why do they say like that? Also they say further, na Vishaya Vishesha Nibandhanam. So it doesn't depend on the Vishaya itself, but the Karana is more important. Why? Because ekasminneva sukshma vastuni patu karana apatu karanayoho pratyakshatva apratyakshatva vyavahara darshanat. So there is a very small thing, let us say a needle. Now an old man is not able to see the needle, or even if the needle he is able to see, he is not able to see the hole in the needle. But a young person can string correct? Through the hole, he can put a string. But old person is not able to do. So the Vishaya is the same, Vastu is the same, but it is Sukshma Vastu, small in size, let us say. Old man's instrument is not good enough. Younger person's instrument is good. So for one person, that is Pratyaksha. For the other person, it is not Pratyaksha. This Vyavahara we are seeing. So like this, they give an analogy. So then what do they say further? Tatacha samvit sakshatve indriyajanyatvasya eva prayojakataya na shabdajanya jnanasya aparokshatvam. So their view is very clear. They are saying the knowledge born out of indriyas, in this case mind we have to take, samskritam manaha, okay, mind which is mature enough, which has been made mature by all the sadhana which has been done. So a qualified mind, from that only direct knowledge can take place. Okay, that is the one which is going to give you direct knowledge and not words. Okay, is one of the very highly regarded commentaries. Okay, so the Bhamati Prakriya has its own certain explanations. Although we don't accept everything, Bhamati is one of the commentaries which is available for the entire Brahma Sutra, in fact. Okay, like whatever Padmapada wrote, it is available only for the first 4 sutras, Chatusutri only. But Bhamati is one of the oldest commentaries which is available for the entire, all the 555 sutras which are there in the Brahma Sutra. And according to Bhamati Prakriya, what we saw now is that Jnanam is only through Karana. Okay, it is not Shabdajanya, is only Paroksha Jnanam. Aparoksha Jnanam is only coming from the mind, according to Bhamati. Okay. Now further, so that is explained here. Brahma Sakshatkarepi Manana Nidhyasana Samskrita Manaha Eva Karanam. So they are very clear now. So for Brahma Sakshatkara, what is the direct means or direct cause is Manana Nididhyasana Samskrita Manam. Okay, the mind which is qualified, you can say, by this Manana and Nididhyasana. First you have to do Shravanam. Whatever you have known through Shravanam, that you have to think about and get clarity. Okay, so getting clarity of knowledge means without any doubts, because initially when you do Shravanam, whatever is Shastra telling, that you are not able to accept. Okay, so whether can it be really true or not, all these doubts are there. Okay, how can it be true? It seems to be contradicting all the other pramanas or my own day-to-day experiences. So how can what the Shastra say be true? Like this, there can be doubts. But all that has to be clarified. For that, we have to use something called Shastra Sammata Tarka. Okay, so we can use Tarka which is in line with the Shastra. Tarka here means some logic, supporting logic, analogies, all those things we can use. Okay, so that is the Manana. Manana only gives you clarity. Then even though you have clear knowledge, that knowledge is not available to you all the time. Okay, this is particularly because of prior habits, you can say, okay, or some hindrances are there. Whatever habitual tendencies are there already, they are all hindrances for this knowledge to be available all the time. This we know all the very well, correct? See, if you go through a particular route every day, you are habituated to driving in that route. Now one fine day you want to go some other direction also. If you are not alert, what will happen? Subconsciously you will go through the older route only, correct? This kind of an experience we all have had. Or those who have addictions and all that, even though they have knowledge that this addiction is not good for me, but that knowledge is useless, correct? So the habitual tendencies can overpower your knowledge. They become hindrance for you to enjoy the result of that knowledge. So that is where nididhyasanam is important. So nididhyasanam essentially is recollecting whatever you know and keep your focus on that, so that you overcome your habitual tendency of looking upon yourself as a jiva, as an individual. Because the predominant tendency is what, when you are in vyavahara, in this transactional world, you are transacting in this world as an individual. That means that is getting reinforced all the time. But what Shastra is telling you is your individuality itself is mithya. It's not ultimately real. It comes and goes. So it even changes in dream. You are some other individual, or you take a different type of individuality in your dream. So this individuality is only an appearance in yourself. You don't have to take it seriously. But that knowledge will not be available that easily all the time, because looking upon oneself as an individual and taking part in the worldly affairs has been going on for too long. That tendency is very strong, but it has to be overcome. How do you overcome that? You have to repeatedly recollect and visualize whatever Shastra is telling about you and focus on that rather than on yourself as an individual. Then once that knowledge is firm, correct, and it is always available, then that is what is called direct knowledge, is what these people are saying. Okay, Bhamati is saying this manana nididhyasana is primary, and a mind which is qualified by this manana and nididhyasana, that is the instrument for knowing directly whatever is revealed by the Shruti. And they are also quoting a Shruti for this. What is that? Manasa eva anudrashtavyam. Like that, the Brihadaranyaka Shruti is there. Okay. Then there is a question which is rising now. What is that? But Shruti also says, yato vacho nivartante apraapya manasa saha. Also, yen manasana manute yenahur manomatam tadeva brahmatvam vidhi nedam ididam upasate. Like this, Kena Upanishad also says, yen manasana manute. Okay, that which cannot be objectified by the mind. And Taittiriya Upanishad also says, the mind returns from Brahman, it seems, because mind cannot objectify Brahman. So, what about mana agamyatva shruti is there? Like this, different shrutis are there. I quoted a couple of them. So, if you say mana agamyatva shruti is there, that means there is a shruti which says Brahman cannot be known through mind. Means then these people are giving answer for that is what? Asamskrita mana vishaya. So those are all only for unqualified mind. A mind which is not prepared, which is not qualified properly, for that mind, Brahman cannot be known through that. But if the mind is qualified properly with all the sadhana, and then Shravana Manana Nidhyasana also has been going on, then such a mind can, through that mind you can know. That is what is talked about here. Manasa eva anudrashtavyam. Like this they are giving an answer. Okay, further what? Nacha evam brahmanaha aupanishadatva anupapattihi. Okay, another thing also is there. Upanishad itself says aupanishadam brahma. Okay, so the Brahman which is known through Upanishad, aupanishadam means what? It is a tadita pratyaya. Okay, and tadita pratyaya comes in many meanings. This an itself can come, but here we can say that which is revealed by the Upanishads. Aupanishadatva anupapattihi. So if you say Brahman can be known only through mind, how can the Shruti say it is Aupanishadam Brahma? Means for that also they have an answer. What? Asmadukta manasaha vedajanya jnana anantaram eva pravrittataya veda upajivitva. So they say, although we say manana nidhyasana samskrita mana is important, the mind which is qualified by manana and nidhyasana is important. But then manana nidhyasana itself is happening only after Shravanam, correct? What knowledge you are getting clarified on and what knowledge you are always recollecting is the knowledge you have gained from the Shruti. So whatever you have studied and listened to from the Veda, that jnanam only leads you to manana and nididhyasana. So it is Veda upajivatvat, means it is continuation of that only, correct? It is dependent on whatever is revealed by the Veda. So Aupanishadam Brahma can still be validly said, even though we say that mind alone gives direct knowledge. But first the knowledge itself is you are gaining only from Upanishads and Veda. So Aupanishadatvam also is okay. This is their answer. So Veda Anupa Jivi Manantara Gamyatvasya eva Veda Gamyatva Virodhat. So we do not claim. See, if we say the original Shravana Jnanam or the indirect knowledge comes from some other means of knowledge and not through Veda, then you can say that then that Aupanishadatvam is not there for the Brahman. But we are not claiming that. We are saying first you have to know Brahman only through the Veda by Shravanam. Then that is indirect knowledge. Then how do you make that indirect knowledge into direct knowledge? There only Manana Nidhyasana Samskrita Manas is the important thing. So since we are saying like that, everything is okay, everything is fine. This is their Samadhana. And finally, the Shastra Drishti also they are going to answer similar way. So Shastra Drishti Sutram api Brahma Vishaya Manasa Pratyakshasya Shastra Prayojya Prayojatvat Upapadyate. Okay. So this Brahma Vishaya, whatever you are talking about from the standpoint of the Shastra or in the light of the Shastra, that kind of a statement can only be made once you know Brahman. And to know Brahman directly, you have to have a mind which is qualified to know that. So only through that Brahma Vishaya Manasa Pratyaksha has to be there. Okay, Brahman has to have been known directly by a qualified mind. Then only the Shastra Drishti can be there. Okay, and you can use the Shastra Drishti and talk about yourself as Brahman. Otherwise, it is untenable. So that is again, that is said by, see, there are commentaries on commentaries on commentaries. So Vachaspati wrote Bhamati. Okay. Then Bhamati, on Bhamati there is a commentary called Kalpataru. Then on Kalpataru there is a Parimalam, another commentary is there. So Brahma Sutra is there, Shankara Bhashya is there, Bhamati itself is a commentary on Shankara Bhashya. Then Bhamati, Kalpataru, Parimala. Like that there are commentaries are there. So here I think one of the commentators of Bhamati is saying about Vachaspati, who is the author. So Api Samradhane Sutra Shastrartha Dhyanaja Pramaa Shastra Drishtir Mata Tantu Veti Vachaspatihi Param. See, Api Samradhane, like that there is a sutra is there. In the Brahma Sutra itself again. So this sutra, from that these people are taking a meaning that Shastra Dhyanaja Prama, they are saying. Like Ishvara Jnanam, if you have to have, you have to do Ishvara Dhyanam. Like that, that sutra is talking about Dhyana. Okay. Similarly, so if you want Ishvara Sakshatkara, what do? Then you have to do Upasana on that Ishvara, correct? Whichever is the form of Ishvara, Saguna, Brahma, Upasana you want to do, you have to do that. Similarly, if you want to know Brahman also, you have to do Dhyana on the Shastrartha. Okay, whatever the Shastra is revealing, on that you have to do Dhyanam. And from that Dhyanam only, this is direct knowledge, pramaa, comes. And this Shastra Drishtihi, whatever you are talking about, can only come after gaining this knowledge. And that is only known by Vachaspati. Like this, the commentator of Bhamati is saying, another commentator, I think it is in Parimala. Okay. So Vachaspati only knows this. Others do not know is the contention here. Okay. The others means here the Vivarana Sampradaya. Okay. So two types of views are there, which gives direct knowledge. But the knowledge is the same. Understand that the Brahma Swarupa is still the same. The content of the knowledge is the same. There is no dispute on that. But this is more like a hair splitting on which is the one which actually gives you direct knowledge, whether it is words or mind, a qualified mind, that too. So now continuing, Tacha Jnanam Papakshayat Bhavati Sacha Karmanushthanat Iti Paramparaya Karmanam Viniyogaha. Okay, now the author is going to another topic. So these two opinions he has now described. Now karma also we have to find a role for it, correct? Because most of the Veda, in fact 98% of the Veda is only karma. The Jnana Kanda is the last portion of the Veda. It is like a few chapters at the end. That's all is the Jnana Kanda. So how do you then reconcile all the karma which is being talked about? So for that we are saying, first to have this Viveka and Vairagya, all these things only, correct? And even the Mumukshutvam, the desire for freedom, all these things will come only due to certain punya, and Papa Kshaya also has to happen. You cannot be an adharmi and you want to learn Vedanta, means it won't work. Okay. So at least you should have the desire to lead a dharmic life first. Then we can move into other things. So here, Papakshaya is important. Okay. And how do you gain punya and get rid of papa, means for that karma anushtana is important. And also karma anushtanam we have to do. From that only we will get vairagya also. And even though you have vairagya, you can still continue doing the karma with a yoga buddhi. Okay. So about karma yoga also we will talk in detail later. So the karma anushtana means here we have to say yoga buddhya we have to add. Okay, with the right attitude. Karma for the sake of karma phala will not give you any moksha. Understand that. But karma for purifying oneself, for getting rid of likes and dislikes, I do what is to be done with the right attitude, with the Ishvara Arpana Buddhi and all. Okay, recognizing Ishvara as the Phaladata and with the Prasada Buddhi, accepting the results of my action as Prasada. If I do karma, that is called karma yoga. With the yoga buddhi we are doing karma. So that way karma also has a place in the overall scheme of things. So iti paramparaya karmanam viniyoga means, parampara here means what? In a serial manner. Okay. So first one gains viveka vairagya and all by doing karma and analyzing that. Karma phala also you have to analyze. So parikshya lokan karma chitan nasti akritaha kritena, like that Mundaka Upanishad we saw. So the one who has accomplished certain things in life only is qualified for Vedanta, I will say. So you should have accomplished something and seen the limitations of your own accomplishment. Then you become a student of Vedanta. Then Vedanta will make sense for you. Okay. And to come to that level, you should have already led a life of dharma and you should have done some karma. So the karma anushtana is important. And even after becoming a student of Vedanta, now you continue doing karma with a different attitude. Okay, so karma is an important part of the sadhana. So atayeva tametam vedanu brahmanaha vividishanti yajnena danena tapasa anashakena. So this is again Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So this Brahman is again as per whatever said in the Veda anuvachanena, Brahmanaha means here those who are qualified to know Brahman, those who want to know Brahman. Okay, mumukshus, but not only mumukshus, vivideshanti means they have also understood that knowledge is the solution. My problem is one of ignorance, and the solution cannot come from any karma. It has to come only from knowledge. Okay, if the problem is ignorance, knowledge alone is solution. So such people who want to know Brahman, but what do? They still do yajna, dana, tapas, all these things. Okay, yajnena, danena, tapasa. Anashakenena means, anashaka here means without eating you cannot say, but by actually withdrawing from all the sensory pursuits also. Okay, so ityadi shrutihi. So like this there are different shrutis are there. So yajna, dana, tapas are also very important. Yajnam means karma only. Dana also is a type of karma, correct? Many times even as part of a yajna we have to do dana. And tapas here means again jnana tapas we have to say. All the effort you put for learning something also is a tapas. Any disciplined life is a tapas. So all these shrutis are there. And also further one more shruti also is quoted here. Kashaye karma bihi pakve tato jnanam pravartate. This is a smriti. So there is a kashaya means something is still in your mind. These tendencies and all I talked about, correct? Habitual tendencies, unconscious, subconscious, all these tendencies are there. It's not even conscious. So how do we get rid of all that? Again, you have to do tapas, different types of karma. So by doing karma and gaining pakwa means literally it means getting cooked, correct? But here it means you become qualified, mature. Okay. So the kashaya has to go by karma only, and then jnana. Then you go on the pursuit of jnanam. Tataha jnanam pravartate. Like this, smriti also is there. So karma has a place in the whole pursuit. That is the idea here. But you have to do karma with the right attitude. So evam shravana manana nidhyasanani api jnana sadhanani. Okay, so further what? So one who has done lot of karma, one who is a dharmika, now he becomes a mumukshu and a jignasu. He wants to know Brahman. Then what do? You have to approach a guru properly, vidhivat. According to the rules of the Shastra, you approach the guru and you have to learn. Okay. And there again, Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana will come into the picture. They become the Jnana Sadhana. They become the means for gaining this knowledge. And this is explicitly said in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad again. Atma vare drashtavyaha, shrotavyaha, mantavyaha, nididhyasitavyaha, like this. So there is a Maitreyi Brahmanam is there in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, where Yajnavalkya is teaching his own wife Maitreyi. And so he is saying, Atma vare, oh my dear, Atma has to be seen. Drashtavyaha. And how do you see the Atma as it is? For that you have to listen, you have to clarify your doubts, okay, mananam, and then you have to keep recollecting that knowledge, nididhyasanam. So, shrotavyaha, mantavyaha, nididhyasitavyaha. So, like this, the vidhi is there. Iti darshanam anudhya tat sadhanatvena shrotavyaha, mantavyaha, nididhyasitavyaha iti shravana manana nididhyasananam vidhanat. So, shravana manana nididhyasana have been enjoined by the Shruti. Shruti is telling you to do Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana for knowing yourself, for seeing the Atma properly. So, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana are the main sadhana. But even to become a qualified student, karma is very important. Yajna, Dana, Tapas, a dharmika lifestyle, having yoga buddhi, all these things are very important. Prasada buddhi you should have. One should have a certain leisure, inner leisure, one who is mature enough and not having pressures, one who is not pressured internally by one's own likes and dislikes, one who is mature and one who has accomplished and also seen the limitations of one's own accomplishment, and because of that you have gained certain dispassion. These are all important things. For such a person, then you have to come to the Shastra and listen to that. And that is the main means for this knowledge. So that is talked about. Further, what is Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana also will be talked about. That we will see next week. Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.